What's up? This is Alaric Ong, and today I'm here with Sam Druce. Now, Sam started his journey with no qualifications, no university degree, but an unwavering belief that he wanted more out of life. He started his first online business in December 2017, starting with no money, and quickly built it to replace his salary in just 30 days. Within the following 3 months, he was making more than £10,000 a month and has gone on to build a 7-figure and multiple 6-figure businesses, release 3 books, write an Amazon bestseller, win the 2 Comma Club award, and win multiple industry awards. He has worked with some of the world's top entrepreneurs to grow their businesses through Facebook ads, funnels, and everything online, and has generated over $5 million in online sales across his own business and his clients. Whether you're new to business or have a business you want to grow, Sam can help you set up your own coaching or consulting business to achieve your goals and exceed your expectations. So welcome to the show, Sam.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited. It's going to be a great little interview.
Sam, maybe we can start off by sharing, how did you, the process of leaving your job? That must be pretty scary. So walk us through those emotions and the journey, and how did it turn out? Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. It's one thing that I wish I was told before I went to hand in my notice was it's one of the scariest things you'll ever do in your life. And no one ever told me. We only ever think about how exciting it's going to be. It's going to be amazing. But then when you go to actually do it and you realize I am dependent on paying my bills, it's a really scary, scary thing. And the biggest thing for me was just having the faith in myself, knowing, hey, do you know what? I'm better to be looking after myself rather than relying on someone else to pay my bills that could pull the plug at any moment as well. And it was really that kind of confidence in the system that we built that enabled me to be able to kind of go full time into my business from there. And you know as well, it's a scary thing, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So when you first started doing your business, how much of income do you make in your first month and your second month? Was that able to sustain, was that able to replace your job? Did you just go straight into the business, or you you transitioned into it?
Yeah, so mine was a very, very long transition period, effectively from when I first wanted to build a business and when I first tried to the moment I became financially free was just over 9 years. Now, it was a very, very long process. And the biggest thing for me was I tried to start my very first business at 18 years old. And I knew I always wanted to build a business and, become an entrepreneur. But what I kept doing was coming up against issues and not being able to solve them. And because I didn't have any help and support, what I then did was I just did nothing for a year. And then I get that motivation and I do nothing for a year, and motivation and nothing for a year. But it was only really when I decided to get serious about my business, invest in myself, invest in education, invest in mentorship, that is when I genuinely look and go, that was a turning point. And I still remember it was the day after my 27th birthday. So my birthday is the 4th of December, and it was the 5th of December. I woke up and I had to go back into work the day after my birthday. And all I wanted to do was hang around with my friends, just have a relax, really enjoying myself. And it was that moment I went, I can't do this anymore. Okay, I just want to be able to do what I want, when I want, and with who I want. And then the next day I bought my first mentorship program. And then by the 2nd of January, I'd actually built enough income to completely replace my salary. So when I took my business seriously, within 30 days, I'd replace my salary.
So your birthday's in December, right?
Yeah, December 4th.
December 4th and in January. Okay, nice. You replace your full-time income. And just curious, which mentorship program do you sign up for, if you don't mind sharing?
Yeah, so my very first mentorship program was actually with a guy called Dan Henry from America. I'm not too sure if you've heard of him. I absolutely loved him because he cut the BS. He was just like, no, just do this and it will work. And I was like, okay, I'm just going to do it. And it worked. So it was great.
Got it. So tell me more about your business now, or tell me more about how your business has evolved and what do you sell and what services or products do you offer?
Yeah, of course. So our business really has evolved so much over the last couple of years because there's just so much noise out there at the moment. You know, when I first started back in like 2017, 2018, it was quite, you know, there was one or two things to follow, but now there's just so much noise, and so many people say, well, what's the right thing to do? Well, the reality is they're all the right thing as long as you go and actually do it. And one of the biggest things myself and my business partner really looked around the marketplace and saw was a lot of people will kind of go, here's some of the information, here's some of the information, here's some of the information. So we just wanted to create a product where we went, here's all of the information. Here is everything that you need to be able to go out there and start doing it. And that's really been one of our biggest inspirations at Explosive Growth Academy, is to go, here's everything, just go and do it and it will work. So we've really kind of grown our business. We've got multiple coaching programs. My main focus, and the one that I'm the face of, is the Explosive Growth Academy. And that teaches people how to start or grow a coaching or consulting business without needing any prior experience, without even knowing what you want to teach, but by being able to do it with what's already the knowledge inside of your head. So how you can go, right, I've got this knowledge. As an example, if someone's ever asked you advice, there's a business there. If you're an expert in something, there's a business there. If you've got a hobby that you're really good at, there's a business there. And my job is to take where you are, take your passions, extract that out, show you the exact 4 steps to grow your business, so that anyone, regardless of their experience, regardless of their technical ability, can go out there and finally take back control of their finances and start to build their own business for themselves as well.
That's nice. So like you teach people how to start a coaching or consulting business, basically. Yeah.
Yeah. How to start your own coaching or consulting business.
Do you normally teach them how to sell like high ticket programs or lower ticket programs, or what kind of what's the model like? Yeah.
So for me personally, and I'm always the first to admit this, I'm quite lazy. I don't like working really long hours. I like working as little hours as I can. So the way that we've always run our business and the way we teach our students is how to sell high ticket programs. Now, if you're, let's say, for instance, selling something for $5,000, well, if you make one sale a week, I mean, that's truly, truly life-changing money. $20,000 a month is truly life-changing. And everything that I've always gone is, how can I earn as much money by working as little as I can? So I've always been kind of drawn to that high ticket item myself.
Got it. And what's the mechanism you teach them? Is it a Facebook ads to a webinar to a call, or a Facebook ads to a Facebook group?
Yeah, so we teach Facebook ads and Instagram adverts, which is really kind of where I started my business. I kind of accidentally fell into Facebook adverts. I was working in a job in sales, and as most full-time jobs are, without giving me a pay rise, they just said, by the way, you're now running the adverts as well. And I was like, great. Okay, well, thank you so much. And I just looked at it and went, well, it's a very, very simple process. Everyone always tries to overcomplicate it. How can we take this back to its most simple form and just try and get results? And turned out I was quite good at it. So I've always loved the vehicle of Facebook adverts and Instagram adverts. And again, for me, if I can have something working in the background while I can go off and do whatever I want, that's always a dream for me. So Facebook adverts and Instagram adverts, moving people into an ever webinar, like that live webinar, and then moving people into a high ticket phone call, where either a phone call or a Zoom call, where we can then look to sell them a program for anywhere between $3,000 to $10,000 as well.
Got it. So I do something very similar as well. I do an automated webinar, and let's just talk business as friends as well. Okay, let's discuss. So when you run these ads, right? How do you create your ads? Like, do you use AI to create your ads, or how do you write your ads? How do you design your images, etc.?
Yeah, so I mean, the way that we've always kind of created our adverts is, I really, really believe that a lot of people kind of try and chase the shiny penny of what's the new thing. Like, oh, there's this secret amazing thing that you can do that gets you clicks for a penny. Whereas the way that I've always looked at it is, Facebook adverts, Instagram adverts, well, they're like all type of adverts. Now, the biggest thing you need to do is go, right, who is your ideal client? The more you know who your customer is, the easier it is. And the biggest thing you have to ask yourself is, what is their big problem? What's their problem? If you could fix their problem, the biggest thing, the thing that makes them wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning sweating, find out what that problem is. And in your advert, really make it feel like you can understand them. You make it feel like, hey, I know the struggles you're going through, that empathy, that sympathy. And then from there, show them the solution. And that is always the way that I've done my adverts is, let's bring it back to basics. Yes, it's an incredible way of marketing, but it's a way of marketing. Same as we used to do on the old school ways of flyers, all those years ago when flyers used to work. Just bring it back to its base level. And the way that I've always loved to do this is try and understand people. The more you understand people, the easier business becomes. The more you can put yourself in their shoes, you can find out what their problem is. The rest of it kind of falls back into place as well. So anyone ever asked me, well, what book should you read on advertising? How to win friends who influence people. Read books on psychology, read books on people. It's a people's game. The more people like you, the more money you'll make, in my opinion.
If you don't mind me asking, could you share some numbers, like how many % of people who opt in for your webinar actually book a call? Okay, how many show up for the webinar? How many book a call? And yeah, show me, share some numbers with me. You can give a range if need be.
Yeah, of course. So for people that actually register for a webinar to show up, we normally get about 45% of people watch the webinar from the end. From that there and the end of it, from those 45 people, we normally get about 35 to 40 people, 40% of people booking a call. And then from there, we'll always get about 10 to 15% no-show rate. And we will always expect a minimum kind of 20% of those people that show up to a phone call to then look to purchase our products as well. And that's the kind of minimum metrics we work on with our team that now effectively run the entire process as well. What about yourself?
Okay, so for me, let's say, do you do like just-in-time webinars or just purely live webinar? Like, do you do like a certain day, or what do you do?
So I do a just-in-time every 15 minutes. And then I do a 1 p.m. every day and a 7 p.m. every day.
Got it. So for me, my just-in-time webinars, I have about 80 to 90% show-up rate because it happens in the next 15 minutes. So the average stats will look something like 100 registrants. About 80 will show up for the webinar. And out of 80 that show up for the webinar, we do WhatsApp inbound, WhatsApp outbound, as well as email marketing, and also the webinar. So about 20 to 25 people out of the 100 registrants will book the call. Yeah. And then the closing rate for the call is about maybe 50 to 70%. Yeah, or like 3K to like for a 5K offer normally. Yeah.
Amazing. I love it.
So, yeah. So but what for Singapore, what works really well is WhatsApp, because a lot of people in Singapore use WhatsApp. I'm not sure what would work very well in your country. But for us, what I get people to do is when they register for the webinar, I ask them to message me and say, like, let's say FB registered free bonus. So people just message me, right? And then from there, I'll ask them to set an appointment. Yeah. So, but these are just small little hacks. I think most important is like what you said, the fundamentals have to be correct. Know your ideal client, know what's the problem you solve, and then the rest will be easy. Okay. So across the board, like some people say, our webinars dead. What do you think about that? Do you think webinars are dead?
Well, I mean, it's always that funny thing. Every year I hear webinars are dead. I hear Facebook ads are dead. I hear Instagram's dead. I hear Twitter ads are dead. I mean, it's like everything as well. Everything's dead until you do it right, in my personal opinion. If people tell me that webinars are dead, all it tells me is that there's something not working in your webinar. If webinars were dead, then why would they be working for so many people, and especially some of the biggest names in the world, right? I just think that it's very easy for us to just, and again, I class myself in this as well, because I'm still a human. It's very easy for us to look at something sometimes and go, well, it didn't work for me, it doesn't work. Whereas the reality is we will look at it and go, okay, well, I know this does work because so many people are doing this. What is it about my webinar that's maybe not converting? And it could just be something as simple as maybe your title isn't enticing. Maybe your offer is not the right offer. So, I mean, webinars, I've been using webinars since 2017. I will continue to use them. I think they're the single-handed, the best tool that you can use in internet marketing at this moment in time.
And in terms of your webinar, the structure, do you use Russell Brunson's Perfect Webinar or Dan Henry's, which is similar to Russell Brunson's, or what? Which structure do you use?
Yeah, so I'm a big believer of like testing and seeing which one works. So I like to try and mix up my webinars every kind of like 6 to 9 months or so, really just to kind of keep it fresh, because we do a lot of retargeting in our business as well. So if someone's registered and hasn't booked a call or hasn't bought something, we always want to try and get some good fresh content in them. I've used the Russell Brunson structure for a very long time. It works. I've also tried webinars that rather than being kind of an hour to like an hour and a half long, I've just condensed it down into something like a 25-minute power webinar. They work really well. And I've also just tried some like the kind of whiteboard webinar style, where it's just me in front of a camera with a whiteboard, just scribbling on a notepad as well, really. So again, this really kind of, I think, feeds back into what we were saying earlier, is it's not about choosing the right thing. It's about going, well, this is what I'm doing, and I'm going to commit to making it work no matter what. Rather than trying Russell Brunson's, it didn't work, I'll try this, I'll try that, I'll try this, I'll try that. I think it's just about sticking to what you're doing, going, I know this works, other people have done it, I'm going to keep going on it till it works. Because I mean, my first webinar was terrible. I look back at it now and I go, oh, no wonder no one bought anything. It was awful. But, it's like everything in life. My first advert was terrible. My first everything in life was always terrible. But it's about having that commitment and just going, you know what? I'm just not going to give up. I will make this work no matter what, but I need to keep going on it to make sure it does work.
Okay. And if you don't mind sharing, could you share like what's your cost per lead when you run Facebook ads, maybe a range, and Instagram ads? Yeah.
Yeah, so our cost per lead at the moment is, we're actually doing a lot of testing with Facebook bots at the moment. So I used a lot of bots in the past, but then ManyChat changed that you couldn't kind of like contact them whenever you wanted. But there's now a way that you kind of still can now. So we're testing that at the moment. And yeah, our cost per lead for a webinar registration is kind of fluctuating between about £4 to £5, which is about kind of $6 to $7 at the moment. So we're getting a really good kind of cost per lead in there across Facebook and Instagram as well.
Got it. That's pretty good. And when you run ads to EverWebinar, you have your own custom domain on your I'm going to ask something a bit technical just for my own knowledge, okay? So you do it like on the registration page, you use your own custom domain, and on the thank you page, you use your custom domain, or do you use just EverWebinar's default domain?
Yeah, so we actually use both of them. So we have an EverWebinar webinar, which is just in time, 1 p.m. and 7 p.m. But then when it comes to when we're using the Facebook bots, we quite literally just get people to register on the bot. Once they've opted in on the bot, it will just go, here's the link to the webinar. It will go straight through to a ClickFunnels page. And then it's the webinar just starts playing straight away on the ClickFunnels page as well. So we're really just trying to get that mix between, hey, some people want to try and plan for a webinar. They want to go, I want it in 2 days at 7 p.m. Whereas some people just want, hey, just give it to me now. So we're kind of really just trying to make sure we hit both different types of people as well.
So when you when you embed the video on ClickFunnels, so you is it a video that can be paused, or it's a video that has to play just like EverWebinar works?
Has to play just like EverWebinar works as well. So we kind of take it. No, you can't pause the video. You can make it big screen, or you can leave the page. We want to be able to make sure you're watching it.
Which software do you use, if you don't mind sharing?
What do we use? We use Vimeo for actually hosting the webinar, and then we use, I believe it's a software called Plus This. That's it. I say my technical guy was going to murder me if I didn't get that right. So we use plus this, and then what we can do is with that software attached to Vimeo and ClickFunnels, we can set tags inside of our CRM system for the amount of time they watch it. So every single time it's a timestamp every 2.5 minutes. So if someone watches for 2.5 minutes, they get tagged 2.5. If they watch it for 5, the 2.5 gets removed, then they get the 5-minute tag as well. So it just means that we can, just like in every webinar, we can still track what our show up rate is, what our watch rate is, what our attrition rate is, how long people are watching it. And then that enables us to send really specific email targeted campaigns for those people that have watched a certain amount as well.
Got it. Because for me, when I tried doing, let's say, a Facebook lead form and then directly to a video, I could only get my conversion rates to be like 8 to 15%. I could never get it past the 20 to 25% mark. Only when I did it through ever webinar, then I could get it to the 20 to 25% mark consistently across the board for all my clients. So far, I feel like that way works better for me. But then the iOS 14 update smashed, and then I couldn't do the custom domain. There was a huge pain in the ass. And then anyways, that's a bit technical. Okay, great. So maybe give some tips to someone who is listening to you and they want some inspiration. Give maybe 3 tips here.
Okay, my biggest tip I can give everyone is you're already good enough. Okay, you're already good enough. Go out and do it. This is something that I think a lot of people, again, I still suffer from it every now and then. It's that kind of imposter syndrome of why would someone listen to me? Well, why can I teach someone? The reality of life is if you are a couple of steps ahead of anyone in life at something, you have the ability to teach them. So many people say, I want to start a coaching business, but I need to become an expert. Well, what's an expert? An expert is what I think is an expert is different to what you do. So I would say you're already good enough. And secondly, I would say just start, right? Just start. Okay. You're never going to think you're ready for anything in life. If you spend your life waiting to be ready, you're going to spend your life waiting. My favorite definition of an entrepreneur is someone that jumps out of a plane and works out how to put the parachute on the way down, which is exactly what you'll do. If you just get started, you'll work it out as you go. There's always going to be something new to learn. There's always going to be something else you could plan for. But if you just get started, 7 out of 10. If it's a 7 out of 10, you're better to be in the game trying to build your business than sat on the sidelines waiting to be perfect. And my last bit of advice is learn from my mistake. Just get a coach, get a mentor, get someone that's been there and done it. Because when you come up against something and you don't know how to fix it, that person there to be able to go, just do this, worth its weight in gold. I would have paid my mentors 10 times over what I paid every single one of them for my entire business career, and it'd still make me back 10 times more in it as well. So you're already good enough. Just get started and get a coach or mentor to help you, and I promise you the rest of it will fall into place.
Awesome. And if people want to find you, how can they contact you? And is there any free gifts that you want to give them or anything?
Yeah, so if anyone wants to find me, we can. My Instagram is Sam Druce, SAMDRUCE EGA. So it's Sam Druce EGA. Go on there. I'm happy to share. I've got a brand new webinar. Again, speaking of the fact that I'm always updating my webinars, I've got a brand new webinar that I literally just finished off building today. Goes into how you can start and grow your coaching business. Go on there, find me, drop me a message, and I'll ping it to you free of charge as well.
All right, sounds good. I'll even check it out myself. So thank you so much for being here on the show. And I think I've learned a lot, and I hope the audience has learned a lot as well.
Fantastic. I just want to say thank you so much for having me. I hope you've all enjoyed it as well. Hope you'll go out there, go and build your business. And I really do appreciate your time today.